Hello, friends, and welcome back to Silent Husband Club. We're sorry for the long break, but we're back now and aiming to bring you new stories every single day. What would you do if the woman you loved, the one you built your life with, suddenly stood in front of you, dressed to impress, smiling, and telling you she was meeting her ex? That's where my nightmare began, in the quiet of my own home. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment. It truly helps us grow and keeps you updated. I got home from work at my usual time, just after 6. The house smelled of freshly pressed fabric, that warm, faintly sweet scent that only an iron leaves behind. In the kitchen, my wife of 7 years, Claire, stood over the ironing board. The hiss of steam rose with every stroke of her hand, smoothing out a sleek black dress, the kind she wore when she wanted the world to notice her. For a moment, my spirits lifted. I thought perhaps I had forgotten an anniversary, or maybe she had planned something special for us. I loved taking her out. Heads always turned when Claire walked into a room, with her hazel eyes catching the light, auburn curls framing her face, and that quiet confidence she carried in her walk. She was my pride, my partner, the woman I had fought hard to win over. "Hey, babe," I said, loosening my tie, trying to sound casual even as my eyes stayed on that dress. "What's the occasion?" She didn't look up, her focus still fixed on the fabric, but her voice had a strange spark in it, a playful excitement I hadn't heard in years. "You won't believe who I ran into today." I leaned against the counter, curious. "Who?" "Ryan." The name froze me in place, my tie half undone. It took a second for the memory to surface, but when it did, the knot in my chest tightened. "Ryan, your high school ex?" She nodded, a small, almost girlish smile curving her lips. "Yeah. Crazy, right? After all this time, I just bumped into him at the coffee shop near my office." Ryan. The name had always been like a shadow in the background of our marriage. The high school sweetheart, the one she had once sworn she'd never stop loving. She had told me about him years ago, about how their relationship only ended because he moved across the country for college. When Claire and I met at freshman orientation, she wasn't ready for anyone new. I had been the patient friend, waiting in the wings until, finally, she said yes. That history was something I had tried to accept, even respect. But hearing his name again after all these years made something deep inside me bristle. "So, what's he doing in town these days?" I asked, keeping my voice light, like it didn't matter. "He's here for work. Sales rep now, travels a lot," she said, still focused on that black dress. Then, without hesitation, she added, "Anyway, we got to talking, and we're grabbing dinner tonight to catch up." The words dropped heavy into the air between us. Dinner. With him. Just the two of them. My chest tightened as I repeated it, testing the sound. "Dinner?" "Yeah," she said easily, finally glancing at me with a quick smile. "Just to reminisce, you know? Old high school stories." I didn't smile back. Something in me had already shifted. The dress, the way she lit up when she said his name, the casual dismissal of my feelings, it all pressed in on me like the walls were closing. I had always trusted her. I had always believed we could talk through anything. But right then, in that kitchen, staring at her preparing herself for another man, I felt the first crack run through the foundation of our marriage. And I couldn't ignore it. I tried to reason with her, though my voice already carried a sharp edge. "Claire, I'm not thrilled about this. You're going out alone with your ex. It doesn't feel right. What if I wanted to come along?" The question wasn't casual, it was my way of drawing a line, a plea to remind her where her loyalty should be. She sighed, setting the iron aside as if I were a child interrupting her plans. "Oh, Daniel, it's not like that. It's not a date. I just thought you wouldn't want to sit there, listening to us talk about high school memories you weren't part of. You'd be bored. Bored? I snapped, my chest tightening. Bored or not, I'm your husband. It's not about being entertained, it's about respect. Imagine if I told you I was grabbing dinner with Lauren from college, and you weren't invited. How would that sit with you? She rolled her eyes, a gesture that felt like a slap. I trust you, because I know you love me. This is nothing, Daniel. You're overreacting. Am I? I shot back, my voice rising despite myself. My eyes fell again on that black dress, the one that clung to her body like a secret. You're ironing that dress, your little black number, and you're telling me this is casual? Come on, Claire. If it's just old friends catching up, why not wear something simple? Her jaw tightened, her tone growing colder. I like looking nice when I go out. It's not a big deal. You're acting like you don't trust me. I leaned closer, my voice low, firm, unyielding. It's not about trust. It's about respect. Either I come with you, or you don't go. That was the spark that lit the fire. Her eyes flashed with defiance, her lips curled with contempt. You're not my father, Daniel. You don't get to tell me where I can or can't go. I'm a grown woman, and I'm going. She snatched the dress off the board, stormed down the hall, and slammed the bedroom door so hard the walls seemed to shake. I stood there in the kitchen, the silence ringing in my ears, a soda can sweating in my palm. We had always talked things through. We had always found middle ground. But this time felt different. This time, she wasn't just ignoring my feelings, she was stepping right over them. Later that night, she emerged from the bedroom transformed. The dress hugged her curves, her hair swept up in a style that was anything but casual. She paused at the table where I sat, pressed a soft kiss to my cheek, and whispered, "We'll talk when I get back, okay?" Her tone was gentle, almost condescending, as if she were soothing a child. I didn't look up. I didn't give her the relief of a smile. My voice was flat, cold. We've already talked. You made it clear my feelings don't matter. Go do what you want, but don't expect me to be fine with it. Her expression hardened instantly. I'm not sleeping with him, you jerk. It's just dinner. And with that, she spun on her heel, heels clicking across the floor, before the door slammed shut behind her. I went to bed early, not because I was tired, but because lying in the dark seemed easier than listening to my own thoughts. Still, they came unrelenting, poisonous. Where was she? What were they laughing about? Did he touch her hand across the table, remind her of the girl she used to be? Around 10, I heard her come in. She showered, slid into bed beside me, her skin warm and freshly scrubbed, and whispered into the darkness, "Hey, babe, how about some make-up sex?" I turned toward her, my voice flat, almost lifeless. Not really feeling it, Claire. I'd just be wondering if you're thinking about him. Her breath caught, sharp and offended. What, you think I got all hot and bothered with Ryan and came home to you? Did you? I asked quietly, my eyes locked on hers. No. She stammered, her confidence breaking. I'm saying I'm here with you. Because I love you. Why can't you see that? Because you don't see why this bothers me, I said, sitting up, the weight of it all pressing down on me. I'm your husband. My feelings used to matter to you. But now, Ryan's back, and suddenly, I'm in the way. She went silent. Her eyes dropped, her voice small, fragile. You're right. I got caught up in seeing him again. I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? Her hazel eyes shimmered in the low light, pleading, reaching for the man who always gave her grace. And like a fool, or maybe just a husband who still wanted to believe, I sighed and pulled her close. Yeah, I forgive you. That night, we made love. And I told myself it was over. I told myself I had been paranoid, that forgiveness was stronger than suspicion. But somewhere deep down, I knew, cracks don't vanish. They spread. For a few weeks, I convinced myself I had overreacted. Life slipped back into its rhythms: work, dinner at home, quiet evenings. Claire was attentive again, almost tender, as though she wanted to erase the sting of that night. And I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that one reckless dinner had been nothing more than nostalgia. But trust, once cracked, doesn't mend. It rattles in your chest, whispering doubts when the house goes quiet. 3 weeks later, she called me from work, her voice breezy, practiced. "Hey, I've got to stay late tonight." "Special project," she said. I froze mid-sip of my soda. Late. On a Wednesday. The same day Ryan had been in town. "All right," I replied, forcing my voice steady. "See you later?" I tried to shake it off, but the unease spread through me like smoke. That night, I decided to surprise her. I swung by her office with burgers, using hunger as my excuse. She looked up from behind her desk when I tapped on the glass door, her face lighting with that warm smile I'd fallen for years ago. "Hey, babe," she said, unlocking the door and hugging me tightly. "What's this?" I held up the bag. "Thought you might be hungry." She beamed, genuinely pleased, and we ate together for 15 minutes, chatting about meaningless things. When I left, I felt like a fool for doubting her. Maybe I really had imagined it all. But 3 weeks later, almost to the day, she called again. Another late night. Another Wednesday. This time, my chest tightened instead of loosening. I wanted to trust her, but my faith was brittle, fragile, ready to snap at the lightest pressure. Still, I played along, nodding, telling her I'd see her when she got home. 5 months later, at a company dinner, fate decided to tear the curtain away. I was standing by the bar, sipping soda, when I met Karen, the office manager. She was sharp-eyed, no nonsense, the kind of woman who missed nothing. "So you're Claire's husband?" she said. "She's lucky." I chuckled, trying to be polite. "You're the one keeping her busy with all those extra projects, huh? Making my nights lonelier than I'd like." Karen frowned. "What do you mean?" "You know," I said casually, masking the tremor in my voice. "The late nights. The special assignments." Her brows knit together. "I haven't given Claire any special projects lately. We've had some extra work, sure, but those went to other people. If she's been staying late, it's usually because she's catching up after long lunches or running errands." Her words slammed into me like a steel door. Long lunches. Errands. My stomach turned cold. I muttered something about mixing up names and excused myself, but inside, my world was spinning. All those evenings she claimed to be working, all the trust one had forced myself to rebuild, it was crumbling under the weight of Karen's simple, unshakable truth. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my fists clenched. Maybe Ryan had switched to Thursdays. Maybe they thought I was suspicious and changed the pattern. Or maybe, and this was the truth I didn't want to admit, maybe it had never stopped. Maybe she had been lying every single time. I needed proof. I needed to know. The next Thursday, I borrowed my buddy James's truck and parked across from her office around noon. My heart pounded like a war drum, each beat daring me to admit the truth before I even saw it. Hours dragged until, finally, around midday, Claire stepped out of the lobby. And she wasn't alone. Hand in hand with a tall, dark-haired man, Ryan, she walked across the parking lot, her laughter ringing like betrayal in the air. I couldn't breathe. They didn't notice me. They didn't care who might see. They climbed into a gray sedan and drove off together, carefree, like teenagers skipping class. I followed, my hand shaking on the wheel, my phone clenched tight. A few miles later, they pulled into a cheap motel, the kind where the wallpaper peels and the parking lot tells 100 sordid stories. I parked far enough away to stay hidden. And then, as if to destroy me entirely, I watched her lean into him at the door of the room, kissing him deep and slow, her wedding ring glinting in the sun as though mocking me. I snapped photos with trembling fingers, my vision swimming with rage and heartbreak. I didn't need more. But I couldn't look away. Hours passed before she emerged, fixing her hair, her dress rumpled, the truth written all over her body. That night, she called with the same excuse. Working late. And I played along, my voice steady, my heart already broken. The game was over. And I was done being the fool. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat in the living room with the photos spread out on the table, staring at them until the edges blurred. Every image was another knife, another betrayal carved into my chest. The woman I had loved for 7 years, the one I had built my life around, was standing outside a motel room with another man, straightening her hair, her ring still shining like it meant nothing. By dawn, my decision was made. I called a lawyer, took a few days off work, and quietly started pulling apart the life we had built together. Bank accounts were divided, documents drawn, everything prepared. I wasn't going to yell or scream or beg. I would simply end it, clean and final. The following Thursday, I let her excuse roll off me like it didn't matter. She called to say she'd be late again, and I murmured my agreement, the same steady tone as always. But that night, while she was working, I packed my things. Clothes, tools, personal gear, nothing more. The house, the furniture, the trinkets, all of it could stay with her. By 7 o'clock, I had a suitcase by the door and an emptiness in my chest I couldn't describe. When she walked in at 7:25, her face was glowing, her smile bright, as if she hadn't been crawling through shadows every week. She leaned in for a kiss, but I turned my face, stopping her cold. "We need to talk," I said flatly. She blinked, caught off guard, her purse sliding off her shoulder. "Okay, honey, let me just." "No," I cut her off, nodding toward the kitchen table. "Now." We sat across from each other, the same table where we had shared thousands of dinners, whispered jokes, and made plans for the future. She smiled nervously, like she thought this was just another spat we'd laugh about later. My voice was steady, but inside, I was breaking. "So, these late nights. How are the projects going?" "Great," she said brightly, too brightly. "They're really happy with my work. Could be a promotion soon." I nodded slowly, my eyes never leaving hers. "Nice. Tell me about them. What have you been working on?" Her smile faltered. "Ah, just reports, you know. Data, regional stuff. Spreadsheets. Nothing exciting." "Reports, huh?" I let the word hang in the air before leaning forward, my voice hardening. "Anything else you want to tell me?" She reached for my hand, her voice soft, desperate. "Just that I love you." I pulled away. Thought I knew that too. Until I found out about you and Ryan. Her breath caught, and for the first time, the mask slipped. "Daniel, not this again. I haven't seen him since that dinner months ago." Silently, I slid my phone across the table. The photo stared up at her, her hand in his, her lips pressed against his, her body leaning into his at the motel door. Her hands trembled as she picked one up, her head bowing low, shame finally dripping into her voice. And then I pushed the divorce papers across the table. Her eyes widened, panic flooding her face. "No, Daniel, please. It was nothing, I swear. Can't we fix this? Counseling, anything. Please." "No," I said firmly, my voice as cold as the steel inside me. "Cheating is a deal breaker. You didn't just betray me, you lied to my face, over and over. That's disrespect, Claire. To me. To us. And there's no coming back from that." Tears welled in her eyes, streaming freely now. "It wasn't about you. I love you, I swear I do." Seeing him just brought back old feelings. That first night was just dinner, but then he kept popping into my head. 2 weeks later he asked me to lunch, and it happened. After that, it got easier, but less exciting. I was going to end it, I swear. "I'm sorry too," I said, rising from the table. "Because I loved you. But we're done." I walked to the door, my suitcase waiting like an executioner. She whispered my name, a broken plea trailing after me. But I didn't turn back. I stepped outside, closed the door, and with it, ended the life I had thought was mine. The weeks that followed felt like moving through smoke, everything blurred, heavy, impossible to grasp. Claire didn't fight the divorce. Maybe she knew she didn't deserve to. Maybe she was too tangled up with Ryan to even care. The papers were signed within months, and suddenly, what had once been my home felt like a hollow shell I had escaped from rather than lost. I rented a small apartment, nothing fancy, just a place where the silence was mine alone. I threw myself into work, the hours stretching long, until exhaustion dulled the ache of betrayal. But the nights were harder. In the stillness, her face would return to me, the way her eyes used to light up when she laughed, the way she curled into me when she was tired. Those memories cut deeper than the betrayal itself, because they reminded me of what I thought we had. And sometimes, I wondered if that version of her, the one who loved me wholly, had ever truly existed, or if she had always belonged to someone else. More than a year slipped by. The raw wound became a scar, still there, but no longer bleeding. Then one afternoon, my phone buzzed. Her name lit up the screen like a ghost clawing at the door of my new life. Against my better judgment, I opened the message. "I'm in town. Can we meet for drinks?" Curiosity gnawed at me. Maybe I wanted closure, maybe I wanted to see what time had done to her. So I agreed. At the bar, she looked thinner, shadows under her eyes, but still striking. Claire had always known how to carry herself. For a moment, it was almost like no time had passed. We hugged lightly, awkwardly, and sat across from each other. She sipped her wine, her fingers restless against the glass. "Thinking of moving back," she said. I nodded slowly. "Ryan cool with that?" The question came out smooth, almost careless, but the silence that followed was sharp. Her laugh was dry, brittle. "We're done. He was cheating on me too, had other women in every city he visited. Some husbands roughed him up, put him in the hospital. He bolted after that. Haven't seen him since." I leaned back, my chest heavy with something between pity and bitter satisfaction. Karma had done what I couldn't. Still, hearing it didn't make me feel victorious, it just made me tired. She looked at me then, her hazel eyes softer than I remembered. "Daniel, there's one thing I need to say. I'm sorry. I was an idiot, chasing a ghost from my past. We had something real, something solid. I threw it away for nothing. I still love you. Any chance we could try again?" Her words landed like a stone in my chest. Part of me wanted to lash out, to remind her of that motel, of the way she brushed off my feelings, of every lie she had told me. Another part of me, the one that had once loved her beyond reason, wanted to believe her, to imagine we could somehow go back. But I had changed. Time, betrayal, and solitude had carved something new inside me, something stronger. And just as I opened my mouth to speak, the door of the bar swung open. The door swung open, and in walked Margaret, her green dress catching the light as she moved with the ease of someone who belonged. She dropped her bag on a chair, leaned down, and kissed my cheek before picking up the rum and coke I had ordered for her. "Sorry I'm late, babe," she said with a warm smile. Meeting ran long. Claire's face drained of color. The glass in her hand trembled as she realized what stood before her, not just me, but the life I had rebuilt without her. Margaret laughed softly, sliding into the seat beside me, her hand brushing against mine in a way that was natural, unforced, real. "So, what have I missed?" she asked, her eyes flicking briefly to Claire before resting back on me. For a moment, silence stretched between the three of us. Claire's lips parted, as if to speak, but her voice faltered. Her eyes glistened, and when she finally found the strength, her words cracked under their own weight. "He's a good man," she said, her throat tightening. "Don't mess up like I did. Hold on to him." "Oh, I will," Margaret replied firmly, flashing the ring on her finger, the symbol of a promise Claire had broken, now made new with someone else. "We don't waste what we've been given." Claire stared at that ring as if it had knocked the wind out of her. The defiance that once defined her was gone. All that remained was the hollow shell of a woman who had lost the game she thought she controlled. "Congrats," she whispered, her voice thin. I hoped maybe, with time, her words trailed off into nothing, because even she knew there was no room left for her in my life. Margaret leaned in gently, her voice steady but kind. "I'm not leaving you two alone. But maybe one day, we could be friends. You shaped him into the man I love. That's all that matters now." Claire let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. "Yeah. Someone told me once not to make the mistake I made. Wish I'd listened." She stood slowly, her chair scraping against the floor, and without another word, she walked out into the night. Margaret's hand squeezed mine, anchoring me to the present. I didn't chase after Claire. I didn't even watch her go. She belonged to the past, and I had already buried that chapter. What lay beside me now was real, not a spark built on nostalgia, but a steady flame that warmed me in ways I never thought I'd find again. Months later, I proposed to Margaret by a quiet lake. When she said yes, the weight I had carried for years finally lifted. We built something stronger, steadier, rooted in trust. Claire faded into memory, her betrayal no longer a wound but a lesson carved into my bones. Looking at Margaret now, laughing beside me, I know the truth I once doubted. Sometimes the worst pain is what clears the way for the life you were meant to have. And after all I lost, I finally found everything I needed right here. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, shocked you, or simply made you think, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, your thoughts, your story, your truth. Subscribe for more raw, real, and unforgettable confessions. And if this story made you feel seen, share it. Someone else might need to hear it too. You're not alone here. This channel is a safe space for those who've been betrayed, broken, and rebuilt.